And today is Monday, September 10th, 2018. Get ready for the Emerging Sea broadcast system, the Forbidden History series. We're getting background noise. Got to mute out, Melody. The Emerging Sea broadcast system, the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Time to call your friends, ladies and gentlemen. Special presentation tonight, every Monday night. And special thanks to YouTube.com for your hosting the Forbidden History series. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. Please note that the following views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is reserved to be construed as medical nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. Stand by for the broadcast. And thank you for that audio check, Lynn. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio, in the heart of Amish country, and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's Mel's Bar and Grill with Melody Gillespie. Special presentation on the law and how to defend against tyranny, ladies and gentlemen. And then every Monday night, by special arrangement, we then follow with Introduction to the Ancient Cult of Five and its existence in our modern world with Alan David. And why are we here? Because we are the deprogramming program, of course. It's what they didn't want you to know, but somebody's got to tell it, right? It is the battle for the mind. And don't forget, the truth is light, but ignorance is darkness. And these are the great antagonists against the other. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. And we've been bringing on a special friend, other than the last 2 Mondays. We've been bringing on Melody Gillespie and sharing with you the important elements of underground regulations and the Agenda 21 and a whole lot of other issues that we're dealing with. And Sandra, good to have you, and Shelley as well. Welcome. And just a real quick footnote, we have the last 30 years, just so as I was watching a report, As the World Burns. You remember that program, As the World Burns? That's the one we're in right now, ladies and gentlemen, because the world is burning up, and in more ways than one. And the last 30 years actually have been the warmest in our northern hemisphere since 1400. Okay, the warm. And they want to talk about we're having a, going to have a. There's some propaganda out there going on saying we're going into the next ice age. This has been the last 30 years has been the warmest in our northern hemisphere since 1400. I think that was even before Christopher Columbus, the phony discovery of America. You know what I'm saying? So with that, maybe she has a follow-up on that, because she's out there in California as California burns. Melody Gillespie. Melody, good to have you.
Good to be back.
All right.
What is the name of your YouTube?
The Forbidden History series, 4 words.
Yeah, that's what I'm missing. Okay, as far as the fires in California goes, what they saw was blue light, and houses burned completely in half, just disintegrated. The windows, the metal, everything just disintegrated. It was much higher than the heat of any natural forest fire.
Oh yeah, well even the wood burning stoves and the ovens burned, right? There was no metal left. Safes, fireproof safes.
And yet the other part of the house was safe, and you can see that on YouTube.
Yeah, there were
technical weapons to cause the fire here in California. Didn't have anything to do with global warming.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, when the firemen went to put out the fires, Mr. Jerry Brown, governor,
Jesuit,
so forth, he has this ban on any use of the water by the people. So the firemen weren't able to use a lot of the creeks and lakes to put out the fire.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your climate change right there. In our county alone, they've taken out 2 million acre-feet of water and put it into the ocean to save smelt, which isn't even indigenous to the area. And the smelt are still dying at a high rate, even though they're doing that, because they're very tasty fish, and the other fish like them. So they're losing them. I think it's the bass that's eating them.
Yeah.
And so when you take 2 million acre feet and you dry up lakes in a valley that tends to be hot anyway, what do you think's going to happen? It's going to cause the area to become desert. There's not going to be any rain. They took 2 million acre feet of water, which would have been our rain for this winter. What's usually happened here in California is they have the summer. The rain usually stops around April, May, and then it's really, really hot. It's like it can get up to like about 120. And then around August, you're miserable. All of the months except for August, it's cool at night and really hot during the day. Well, in August, it doesn't cool down. This August, it was very cool. We had hot days, but cool nights. And then September, you still have some high temperatures. But around late October, you usually would see the rain come. And then by December, you'd have like monsoon. It was just torrents of rain.
Yeah.
And then the rain would stop between February and April.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what you usually see. Well, they've been screwing with our weather, with the modification, with the chemtrails, and with taking the water out of our valley. So what do you think you're going to see? You're going to see a climate change, right? When you start tempering with everything.
Oh yeah.
And so there you go. This was the breadbasket of the world, and they're turning it into a desert where you can't grow anything. Farmers are pulling out all their trees. We had huge amounts of olives and oranges, and they're just pulling them out because they can't afford to keep them watered.
Yeah.
The water's at a very high rate. The feds have gotten involved, and not in a good way.
Yeah, and by the way, Shelley on here pointed out they were using what they call directed energy weapons on the houses, but geoengineering, it's Dane Wigington's on every Saturday, and he has geoengineeringwatch.org, and he said that basically there is no natural weather anymore. It's all now geoengineered. So basically, it's a whole nother environment. It's and virtually everybody on here is a sky watcher, by the way. They've all been watching the aerosol spraying and the all of the weather phenomena and the sun simulator. I assume you know about the sun simulator, and so everything is just in a bizarre science fiction movie. It's absolutely surreal, and but bottom line, with the ozone layer having been depleted up to 80 or 90% apparently. That's why everything is frying. All the trees are frying, the plants, stop signs, any other kind of signs, all over the place. If they don't have the right kind of paint, or if they're in too much of the direct sunlight, everything fades. So we're witnessing the end of our world. It looks like, Melody. Bottom line.
Well, in the Bible it says that if God didn't cut these days short, no man would survive.
Yeah. Well, with all the psychopaths, I think. It's time. I think the jig is up for our world. We certainly have all been mind controlled. Just a few of us woke up. We're like the less than 1%ers, and we're here trying to make lemonade out of lemons. But in the end, it's a done deal. We're out of here. It's over. It's going to take several million years, maybe 20 million years to get the ozone layer back. So there ain't no way anybody can survive like this. It's going to be like Mars or Venus. That's what's coming.
Yeah, well, tell us about that sun you were talking about.
The sun simulator?
Yeah.
Okay, you've not heard about that before?
Well, I'm sure many of us out there haven't yet.
Yeah, well, basically, and I'm just benefiting from the research of other people, but so what excuse me, when I first came to Ohio 4 years ago, I had a neighbor, and he took a picture of the sun, a reverse image, and he was just practicing with his phone, camera phone, and then he showed it to me, and he took a reverse image, and he says, "Look at this! I took a reverse image of the sun." Now this is prior to the sun simulator, okay? This is before that, and it was our regular sun, okay? But it was super bright. It had been super bright for at least about 6 or 7 years. You couldn't even look at it when the sun was setting or the sun was rising, because it was like orange red, and you can stare at the sun. But the sun was being charged, apparently, because we're going through the 5,000 year cycle of the flat line of the galaxy. It bobs up and down in this window that all the planets are charged on. So, but nonetheless, in spite of that, the sun being so bright, being charged by the galaxy, it then had these little dots that looked like little planetoids around the sun, and one at 1 o'clock, one at 5 o'clock, one at 7 o'clock. The one at 7 o'clock had a dot around it, which would have been a moon, and so there was one at like 9 o'clock or 11, and so like five different planetoids were right around the moon, right around the entire sun, and you couldn't miss it. It was unbelievable. And I said, I know what that is. That's the incoming binary star system. And so that was 4 years ago. And so since then, they knew that these incoming planets, what they call Nibiru, the dwarf star, sister star of our solar system, is called Nemesis. But they were coming around the sun and coming our way, coming towards us now, unless they were still heading towards the sun. I don't know, the timeline here. So they could have been headed still towards the sun, or they already came around and were coming, back, doing the loop around, the giant 5,000 or whatever, 3,000. Some say 300-year cycle. I don't know the cycle, but all I know is that I saw it with my own eyes. And so what's happening is, because it appears they're getting closer, and I think they had already gone around the sun based on the evidence I've been looking at by the other sky watchers, taking cameras up in from stationary cameras up around Alaska. And this one lady here in Ohio, she's like disappeared off the map. She was getting all the great shots up there around Alaska and the north, the northern Arctic. And so she was doing such a great job showing the incoming that now we haven't heard from her in several months. And she knew she was being targeted. So anyway, so what they've had to do so that we wouldn't see these incoming planets is they created what is called a solar array, and it's a like they're hexagonal. I think 6 sides is a hexagon, and they're hexagonal uh, patterns of these little what I want to call shields, but they're actually lights. Like they have in these new modern day flashlights. They're super bright, but they're low power. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the patterns, I've seen the patterns. You can literally see these the solar array in a sketch, okay, or photographs. But literally, it's up there at a certain point. Now you can take an apple and block out the sun if you got it at the right distance from your face. You can block out the entire sun with an apple when you're down here on Earth. So obviously, if they position the solar array just high enough up in the sky, close enough to Earth, the closer the better, probably just right above in orbit, and it's geosynchronous orbit, and therefore they turn it on at a certain point after the sun comes up, and it follows it throughout the day, but it's not perfect, and that's why they got to keep the clouds going as well, the aerosol spraying, because it's like a double play. The solar array, a fake sun, is turned on so that we don't see the incoming planets and nemesis and its moons. And so that's really what's happening. So this thing they put up there in their secret projects, and they didn't tell us what they're putting up there, but it's there. Everybody has been. Well, most of the people on this channel know what it's all about because they've been following this for a good while. So does that help answer your question, Melody?
Kinda.
Yeah, it's so bright you can't look at it. You cannot look at this thing. It's not the yellow sun. Bottom line, it's bright white, just like those new flashlights they created. It's super bright, blue spectrum. Not good for you to look at. It will hurt you. And then the solar radiation is still coming in because it all comes around the light. That doesn't stop the regular light from the sun coming. And without the what they call it, the ozone protection, we're getting UVB and C right out my door. I got several plants dying big time right out my door. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. You just have to look for it. Yeah. Silent wars, silent weapons for quiet wars. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. The LED lights. Thank you, Ninja. And thank you, Shelley, for your thoughts. And Sandra in Australia says, I actually caught pictures of asteroids coming around the sun about 6 months ago. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's, go ahead.
They're really messing with this world.
It's over, Melody. It's really over. Once one figures out everything they're doing, and you know why they had to start all these fires besides getting rid of people and housing them in in the cities. It's also they have to also stop this radiation from coming through because we're frying now, and so the fires of the forest helps to create another additional layer of barrier, a smoke, that prevents the additional UVC and B to come through. So they have to burn the forest. That's part of the plan. Plus, it also then destroys the evidence of the trees that are dying big time on the sides of mountains, like in the Rocky Mountains and the Sierras. Entire forests are dead, okay? And it's around the world. So they know that it serves many purposes. Get rid of the evidence of the UVC and B, and also put smoke up in the sky to help deflect that radiation that's burning everything up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty bad. Somehow they think that their children and their families are going to survive in this. I don't get how they can be that deluded.
No, they're just order takers. Remember, they're just following orders. Whoever's running it is what I call the unseen hand. It is the ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood. They're the ones running the Vatican. The Vatican is just the front. It's still a front office, and it's the unseen hand. We'll never know who they are, what they look like, but they've been running the world from the beginning of time. It's their culture. It's the Aryan culture that it began with the Vekoresh, the Watchers who fell. They've been doing this, running our planet for 5,000 years. Well, no, excuse me, about closer to 8 or 10. And so the order takers just did what they're told. So I guess these Watchers got a plan, but I don't, maybe, it's unimaginable. It looks like they really destroyed the world. I think they maybe just didn't count on that the aerosol spraying, which was raining down poison on us, was also going to be putting carbons up in the upper atmosphere, destroying the ozone layer. That may have been the only thing they didn't count on, and so they did it, and they get everything they deserve. We have the ability to transcend and leave this world with this great spirit of life, Yeshua, and they don't go anywhere. They stay on a dead planet and rot, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So how can you help us with the law, Melody? Is there any way you can help us stop all of this?
Last time I talked about the first time I really got into this is I hated traffic tickets. I felt that they were unconstitutional. There was something just not right about it, Officers would pull me over, and I was like really young and cute, and I go, and so what are you saying I did? I would start out like that. It was like, what the hell are you doing now? And there was one time an officer was honest with me. He said, I pulled you over to talk to you, but you were very friendly. And I go, well, sometimes I'm tired and I don't want to be pulled over. That's not the best way to get my attention.
Yeah, in other words, he was looking for a date? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you gave us your story just the last time you were on here. What a story you had.
Yeah, and the thing is the judges cover up for these guys and everything, but I did some things that really were very unexpected by them, and so they had to completely lay off. They still kept up their facade that I had done something wrong, but I mean, there was just absolutely no penalty that went along with it because I was able to nail the judge, and bias and prejudice from his own words that was taken completely out of a book called the Anti-Government Extremist Handbook. And I put it into the court record. And so, and I demanded that he recuse himself. Well, he wouldn't recuse himself, but there was absolutely no penalty whatsoever. They ordered that I get my driver's license back, but the DMV never paid attention to him. They would still act like, because I had gotten off without any fines or anything, they would pretend that I still had this stuff against me. Because here's the truth: the DMV does not have to do anything that the court says, because the Unified Trial Court Act made an agency out of the court. So the court is on equal footing with the agency.
Okay.
And you can't go in for a traffic ticket. What the agency is required to do is to allow you to have a hearing within the agency about the office, and then you argue with the officer in front of a circuit judge from the Office of Administrative Law. And you got to understand that the Administrative Procedures Act is the same all throughout the state. There's certain federal requirements because agency law is federal. So there's certain federal requirements the agencies must have. And then each state has its own hierarchy on how you deal with the agency. But the agencies get out of hand and they overstep their bounds. And when they overstep their bounds, you can file a complaint with your congressperson. And I'm talking about the assembly person for your district, not the federal, but the state.
Mm-hmm.
And they can intervene. Any agency that acts outside of their authority.
Yeah.
And when they refuse to have a hearing, when you request a hearing and you follow the Administrative Procedures Act, and I'm sure California is one of the most complicated legal systems in the world, and I think maybe New York might be next, or they might be competing side by side.
Mm-hmm.
But you follow the Administrative Procedures Act, and there's usually a book for codes, and it tells you how you deal with the different code sections in, like, your civil code, your Administrative Procedures Act code, your criminal code, and it'll have in these code books the different kind of forms that you use, or the format in how you respond to these agencies. And you can get a lot of information there, and people will know about your criminal code, your civil code, and your civil code of procedure.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the same from state to state. Some states use the federal rules of civil procedure, the federal civil code, and they don't have their own. If the states that have their own, a lot of times will mirror the federal. California is one that has its own. And what they do is these code books have how you respond to these different agencies under the Administrative Procedures Act. And if you go on the Office of Administrative Law, they also will tell you how to set up a hearing, and when the agency refuses to set up a hearing, then you're going to go to your Office of Administrative. Let's see. No. Yeah, you file a complaint against the agency for underground regulation. And then if you're going to go to court at all, you go to court on an administrative mandamus ordering that the agency follow the law. Because here's the thing. The court doesn't have jurisdiction over agency things that the agency has jurisdiction over. And in California, the cops don't even give you a court date anymore. They just say pay, which is a constitutional violation.
Wait a minute, they're saying pay, which means they're the jury in the court right there on the street then, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the court loves for you to have a hearing, because then they can solidify the debt that they've already created.
Yeah.
And many times, if you know how to do it, you can look up your ticket number on the stock index in the stock market, and you'll be able to find it. They have already posted it as an asset for the state. In other words, to them, it's like a done deal.
Okay. So you're saying not only do they put the birth certificates on Wall Street, but even the traffic tickets?
Yep.
Wow.
Any citation.
Wow. And just to clarify, Melody, are you able to see the chat room? Because I know people are making comments, and I didn't know if you were able to follow.
Well, all I see somebody said my name, this Melody, that was Ninja Cat.
Yeah.
And then listening and back and wow.
Yeah, Ninja's down in Australia as well. Sandra, she had just commented, regulations are also illegal for non-businesses, and even in our Constitution, I guess it says that down there. So similar stuff.
Yeah, well, what if they have you registered as a business? How do you know they don't?
Well, that's apparently what's going on, isn't it? If it's on Wall Street.
Yeah. Exactly. And here's the other thing. They're all registered as a business. So if they're registered as a business, how can they be government?
Good point.
Yeah. You got to ask yourself these things.
Right. So isn't this this not then, and before going into any trial, then be a part of what we might call discovery, and then they don't want you to show any of this in a courtroom, so they should kick you out just because they don't want this stuff revealed?
Well, if you know how to put it all together, I haven't quite figured that out. I know the theory behind it. I just haven't figured out how to pull that stuff down and make it part of the evidence.
Well, what about just making it into a demand for a bill of particulars? And you can also throw in there, by the way, is anyone in this case a Freemason? Does the attorney have a license to practice law?
No, I did that to one judge. I even had in there an affidavit from somebody who said that he was an expert in Freemasonry, and he saw the hand signals going on, and he saw between the attorney and the judge, and that there was complete bias against us in the courtroom. But we filed a criminal complaint against the judge in that it was kind of a civil criminal thing. I guess it's more like an administrative thing, because it went to another judge, and they determined, of course, there was no nothing going on.
Oh. Because it was another Mason. Yeah.
So that didn't work well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had more success with putting in the anti-government movement guidebook into the record that with affidavit of authenticity, and showed that the judge, from the transcript, the judge had said something straight out of that guidebook, and he was signaling the other judges that we were anti-government extremists and to be prejudiced against us.
Anti-conspiracy extremists. That's pretty good.
Anti-government extremists.
No, you're against the conspiracy. That was my point. That's what they're saying, right? That's really what they're saying, right? Because the government is a conspiracy. It's a racket.
Yeah, it's a racket. That's for sure. Yep.
Please continue.
Well, the thing is, especially with the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, they refused to follow the Administrative Procedures Act, which they're required. If they're going to be an agency, they are required. And not only that, they're registered on Dun and Bradstreet as a business, providing government services. So if you look at every part of our government is registered on Dun and Bradstreet as a business. The sheriff and the office of the sheriff, the judge and the office of the judge, the courthouse, the administrator of the court. Everybody is registered as a business. So there you go. There's the bracket right there. Now, in order to be government, though, there's certain things that have to be in place. And that's what I was talking about with if there's going to be a head of the agency and he's he's appointed by the governor, they are required to have a commission from the government with their oath of office attached. And then it's supposed to be registered with the Secretary of State and entered into the logged into the journal of the Secretary of State when it was filed into the public record. Guess what they never do?
What they're supposed to do.
Yeah. So that means they have no authority at all. That means they're not following the law and they're operating on underground regulations. There are so many things like that they're failing to do. And I think that, especially in Europe, I think you will find that the governments in Europe are operating in administrative capacity also, but I bet you would find that they are registered businesses. Now, I don't know that it would be done in Bradstreet. Maybe Geneva, Switzerland, I don't know where they would register. But they have stock markets too. And they're using, and basically what it is buying and selling human flesh. You know, it's people. They're buying and selling people.
Absolutely.
And so many people are thinking that, okay, the government's a little corrupt, but and they still watch out for the people, and they still love their politicians. And no, these people, they could care less about you. You know, my son, he's on Facebook, and the family members are on Facebook, and he has friends on Facebook, and he texted me once that he unfriended one of his friends because he didn't like the comments that he made about Obama. And so I thought I would help him put things in perspective. And I said, you know, that's really strange. I heard that Obama unfriended people for talking smack about you. And then I go, not.
Yeah.
So hopefully he got the message. Obama could care less who talks smack about him or who my son unfriended.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably his friend cared a whole lot more about him than Obama did. So that was just nuts to even think that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that we have to remember that none of these people care.
No, actually, they're there as a front. That's what it's all about. It's a front to hide the reality that we went in bankruptcy in the 1930s with the New Deal and the Federal Reserve, and that basically we're just operating under public policy, and it's just nothing other than a shell racket. Keep the game alive, even though don't tell anybody that it was over 100 years ago.
Yeah. Now, I've been surprised by Trump because I really thought he was more of an insider, but they are out trying to destroy him, and he is dismantling their process. He's put them way behind. So there might be something in that man that realizes that the world that the globalists are trying to put together isn't one that he wants his children to go through and his grandchildren.
Well, I didn't see him when he had his last pep rally. I just peeked in real quick because I can't stand all that hype. But bottom line is, I don't see him talking about all those families that lost their homes in California and other places, and what a tragedy. And and then they got this military all over the world in 150 nations. Wonder why we can't spare a little military to put out fires, right?
Yeah. The one thing that Trump has as a challenge is that the military and these secret organizations within the government are not paying attention to anything that any of his executive orders, and they're just going ahead with what they want to go ahead with. Jerry Brown has certainly invited them to do so, because when Trump became president, the chemtrails kind of stopped for a while, and we started to get rain immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly, it's been going back to just like it was again, like before.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, because we still got geoengineering going on. When does the cat come out of the bag?
He hasn't been able to put a stop to a lot of this horrible stuff that's going on, and I'm not sure how much he's aware of it, but I would think that with the few people that are actually on the side of the people in Washington, it's rather overwhelming to try to attack everything. He was even going to go after the vaccines, but with all the hurricanes and everything, that was so obviously geoengineering. He became pretty overwhelmed within the first year that he was there as president. So, and it looks like things are becoming more and more tragic as, the New York Times came out and said, anonymous, that, Trump's going crazy in his meetings, and then Bob Woodward writes a book and claims he's had all these conversations with Trump. Of course, Trump is denying that any of those conversations took place, and that he's never even talked to Bob Woodward. So they're really trying to overwhelm him. I mean, even from the first time he became, first month he got in president, they've been trying to overwhelm him.
Yeah. And by the way, if anybody has a comment, or question, or wants to join the conversation, I don't have a way to tie you in with the phone here, but you can call in on Skype, Free America Radio. Okay, the Skype is good, and love to take your call, or of course you can put your question to Melody on the chat as well, and I'll see it. So
and I'm trying to keep track of what's on the chat too.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions,
Melody,
go ahead.
The
courts are a brief case. It's going to take. This is something we're going to have to do at the local level. Is we're going to have to start going after these judges. What with the Oklahoma City bombing, the ones that provide the justice training, which is, I think it's called the Justice Center. I'm not completely sure about that, but it is a subsidiary of the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Another front.
Yeah, the Southern Poverty Law Center, through the Freedom of Information Act request, Terry Nichols' attorney was able to get a lot of information about that the Southern Poverty Law Center and the FBI were directly involved with the bombing of Oklahoma City building. And that it wasn't Timothy McVeigh or all the other things they said. No. It wasn't like that at all. Timothy McVeigh was an FBI agent.
No, he was private military. Private military. He wanted to get in special forces, and they gave him a special job to quit the army, and he'd be undercover. And so he was primed for that job, to pretend to be a patriot. And then at his lethal injection, a reporter was quoted as saying, I never knew that, when you're dead, you still breathe. Because he lived, because he was doing his job. He was he never pulled the truck out in front of the building. That we know that had the inside demolition thing. There was never a hole in the ground outside the building. That was a fact. Never a crater outside the building.
Right.
So yeah, it's a grand illusion, but it was a stage. And did you know that the governor of Oklahoma, the Oklahoma governor, his brother wrote a book like 10 years earlier about a government building in Oklahoma that would be blown up, and the character in the book was called McVeigh.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, this is how they did the same thing with the Titanic. 10 years or 20 years before the Titanic, had its disaster, there was a book written about a ship called the Titan. And then it hits an iceberg, right? It's the unsinkable ship. They always lay out their plots in some way, shape, or form for everybody else to get the picture, and they send their friends the book. You better read this book because this is what's coming, Yeah. Secret Handshake Club.
Well, in the I think it was the NRA magazine. It had a picture of Timothy McVeigh. He was part of the doggone it. It's not coming to me.
You're trying to say some Patriot group? Some Patriot group?
No. Not a Patriot group. He was identified as an FBI agent who was bringing down the David Koresh. And he was testifying against the poor people there at Mount Carmel.
I see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a month before the Oklahoma City bombing that came out in the magazine.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, just to clarify, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is famous for beating up, and Morris Dees, by the way, is the head of it, and he gets millions of dollars to run this government front. And so half the people he beats up in there are actually government agents. And so it makes them look like legitimate patriots because they're being taken down by the Southern Poverty Law Center magazine. But then the other half, are real people that they're beating up. So it's always a mix. It's just it's a profound shell game, and I've been studying that for years, Melody, and used to talk about all that stuff. No, don't do that anymore. Really, it's just I'm pretty well through with all the illusions like that.
But I mean, this has been out for so long. I don't see why they would. They used to when I was on First Amendment Radio. They used to come at me hard because I would expose all this stuff.
Yeah, and by the way, that's another front. We should add right now that is a front. We don't need to even mention her name again.
Yeah, that's true.
Good night, Lynn.
Nicholas Arthur, that's not even his name, is a very bad man.
Yeah.
I could tell that story someday if you want.
Sure.
It shows just how the court picks and chooses who they're going to side with rather than justice. They do not care.
Yeah. Yeah,
we don't care how bad the criminal is that they're protecting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I know a good judge. And I've known quite a few.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because they're wearing a black robe. That's a tip-off right there to something's wrong. And then we find out they're following really the protocols of the Babylonian Masonic Talmud. And that's why they're willing to railroad innocent people into prison, because that's what they bought into in their little secret handshake club, you know?
And I see them purposely give children to parents who never cared anything about them. Yeah. And take them away from parents that they've lived with their whole life and that have cared a lot about them. And I've seen that happen over and over again. And this all came about with Y2K. And when they came out with the books that were supposed to help the government employees with all of the civil unrest that was going to happen with Y2K. They came out with the anti-government movement guidebook, and then there was another one which I can't think of right now, but it was similar. And they had all the employees go to the Reno Judicial College and take these classes where they had to read these books. And it was basically programming them against the American people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mean the American slaves?
Yeah. Well, they're not supposed to be the slaves. They're supposed to be the actual ones who are in power over the government. Yeah. But they've allowed public servants to run over them. And that's through complacency and not keeping on top of that these public servants are actually doing what they're required to do. Mm-hmm. A lot of this stuff you can find in the California election code, and I imagine in your countries or your states, look up your election code. It'll have a lot of that stuff in there. There's some really good stuff. And I have a book on how municipal government works. Now, municipal government is all governments, all municipalities. Municipalities is basically a term of war. It has to do with citadels, which the term city comes from.
Right.
Yeah, they're all terms of war.
So is mission. You know, like Mission San Juan or Mission San Jose, we think of them as religious, missions, but mission is a military code word. It's a military operation, mission.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the courts, they don't care who they destroy, how many families go under because of their ruling.
Yeah. They'd rather go to the other side. That's it. They just went to the other side because they were in the middle, and they said, well, I guess I'm already in the middle. I might as well go the rest of the way. The pay is good. Money's good, right?
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, and they do it because there's no consequences if they don't.
Yeah.
And there's no consequences because the people are busy scrambling for their very lives, just trying to make it because of all the corruption in the government. So the more corrupt the government, the more the people are scrambling just to survive, and the more they turn on each other rather than the ones who are the cause of all the problems. The ones who are very greedy. I wonder how many would be judges if their salary were the same as the people that they're so-called ruling over.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and they should be limited term. It's like they get there and then they're in the power seat for 10, 20 years. Everyone should serve to for a certain amount of time, just to pursue that justice, right? But we know they're in private law. It's not the common law that we were supposed to have. So therefore, it's a private law that comes out of New York, as I remember learning about it, and therefore it has nothing to do with the people, like you say, corporations.
Yeah, that's the key. Look in your election code. Look in your Administrative Procedures Act, because every single government is an administrative agency. Every single one of them. Private corporation with a, don't you take that? Oh, that wasn't you, Desert. Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Anyway, every single part of government is now an agency. And what an agency is a private corporation that's providing government services. But guess what? They don't have the proper things in place like they're required to. Most of them have charters, if not all. I can't think right now of one that doesn't have a charter that's been accepted by the legislature. But I'll tell you what, if the agency is too ultra-virus, in other words, using underground regulations are regulations that have never been approved by the people. They just make them up on a day-to-day basis without the proper notification, the time for public comment. Now, can you think of, now this is done on an emergency basis. This is under the emergency doctrine. So can you think of any emergency that an agency would have, that they would have to, on a regular basis, write up regulations and operate on them without going through the proper rulemaking process?
Only if they were into black magic.
And yet they say they're doing it because it's a mandate by the people.
Ah.
I don't know of anyone that's mandating them to do anything. In fact, we're kind of sick of them. If we were going to mandate anything for them to do by emergency, it would be to disappear and get out of our lives.
There you go.
Yes. So when an agency comes after you, always question their authority. Question where they think they have authority, and ask them what they have in place to prove that they're actually authorized to have any authority. Know your election codes and your Administrative Procedures Act. In California, they actually have an Administrative Bill of Rights, which the agencies are supposed to respect when they deal with a private person, and they never do. They totally go over it. That's an underground regulation.
Okay.
So, anyway, we're coming to the end of time here. And so I'll see, that's what I would like to end on. Check your laws, no matter what country you're in, no matter what state you're in. Men cannot take authority over other men without their consent. So find out where the consent was given, and if they have the proper authorization in place to have that authority ever from the people. Find out what your remedies are when they don't. Our government public servants are the way they are because we don't call them at the first wrong thing they do. We let them go on and on and on and on. And nobody ever stops them. And that's why the courts today feel that they can do whatever they want to do to a man or woman that goes before them without an attorney because there's no reprisal. The reprisal is more from their peers than what they would ever get from us.
Right.
And the thing is, it's not even safe to have an attorney because the court will tell the attorney what to do, and they'll do it to you. Your own attorney will have you pay them to do it to you.
Yeah, he's the agent of the court first, and you second.
That's exactly right. And that's because there's no reprisal for incompetence or just outright betrayal.
Yeah. Melody, give out
and so the next Monday, we're going to talk more about what brought me to my experience and my education, and some of the things you need to look for and some of the things you can do to counter. Thank you so much.
Melody, give out any contact information you want to give out?
Yes. You can contact me at Mel's Bar and Grill at gmail.com.
And that's A-N-D, Mel's Bar, A-N-D Grill?
Yeah.
Okay, at gmail.com.
Mel's Bar, A-N-D Grill at gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, or if you'd like to tell me your story, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. And that's a wrap for till next Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Melody Gillespie, she's been in the trenches for a long time and can help anybody that's dealing with, if you know anybody out there that's dealing with an issue, in general, because just to get all the advice you can is from anyone that has this type of experience can be life-saving for them. So tell them about the program on Monday nights, okay? So you never know when it can happen to you, but you probably know someone that's going through a fix right now, and we can perhaps direct them to the right place to go, because it's not always the attorney. That's been the problem. They milk you for every last dime you have, and then they say, well, if you can get me another $10,000, I can probably get you out of jail. I know it didn't work last time, but this time, I think I can get you out. Oh yeah. Then you get, that's all they do. They milk, and that's what a turn means. A turn means to keep everything in possession of the royals. That's what they do. They keep everything for themselves. Perry Mason, because Perry means to make fat. They get fat off the people having a party. Melody, thank you so much for all your efforts and help. Okay.
Is Alan coming?
Well, no, Alan apparently he is not going to be able to make it tonight, so we'll have him back next Monday, following Melody Gillespie on Mel's Bar and Grill every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by an introduction to the ancient cult of five and its existence in our modern world with Alan David. That follows Melody Gillespie every Monday night. We'll see you, Melody. And thank you. And thank you all for tuning in. It's a tough world, but we're going to make it through it, right? Of course we are. We've got every incentive, and there's nowhere else to go but up to our Redeemer. And so don't forget, we're here 7 days a week. We're taking tomorrow morning off, though, okay? And then, so look for us at Wednesday. I think we're going to be on at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time starting Wednesday, temporarily. Ultimately, after about a week or two, move to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. But I've got to fudge my schedule because I'm scattered, okay? Yeah, just trying to find the right schedule to accommodate everybody. So just stay tuned, look for the notices, okay? Do tell your friends about the broadcast. And thank you, Liz and Ninja and Shelly and everybody. Thank you, Lynn. I think she went. It's a tough world. We got people suffering out there big time. Our world's not going down in the future. It's going down now. Thank you, Liz. Because, yeah, let's get ready. You know, we know the last show was here. They've been playing a game on us, but the joke's on them too. We can be set free, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it right now on the Forbidden History series every day, okay? You know, you can get us on the side anytime you want. 608-566-7295. If you want to call in right now, you'd better be quick. But I will take your call. 608-566-7295. Don't forget, if you need prayer, any kind of help, we're here as best we can to help you out, all right? They got all the money. We don't have any money, but we do get it done on a song, a wing, and a prayer. And you are our prayer as well, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you. Okay, Shelly, I can line up another one. I think I've got a friend who helps people save their houses, and we can have further discussion. Maybe I should do Sunday night. Sunday nights was my favorite for the Forbidden History series. So let me work on that. And good night to all of you. Peace and love.